you can sneak it in, and that they sit somewhere and actually do the research and do the writing and actually present on it. But the consequence can be on what happens to a bully when they bully. So what happens down the road? Look at these things that could happen to you, the bully, and then looking at what it does to the victim.
Why is bullying so rampant? Like you say, at your son's school, the administration had their hands full, and it was kind of difficult for you girls to really get things shaken up there a bit.
Yeah.
That annoyed me also because of the epidemic proportions, and even in the news. And I'm not an educator, and if I were an educator or an administrator of a school, I would be up on that stuff more. And I am not, and I'm up on it a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Why did they have their hands full with normal stuff or with just so much bullying?
Gosh, I think
know what I mean?
A combination of both. And I also think that we kind of took too light of a stance. And one thing I want to mention is Marie and I took we agreed that we were going to take a very different approach than most parents would typically, because you want to go in there, shoot them up, like cowboys.
I like what your husband said.
Yeah. Let's go in there and get them, and
Boys will be boys, and let them pop them one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not going to happen because
doesn't work.
The school does take a very strict stance on physical violence. So if you smack someone, you are out for 10 days. I mean, it's cut and dry.
Wow.
But with bullying, because there are so many gray lines,
It's a psychological smack.
And it's different though, because it's once they stop teasing, then you completely avoid the person and ignore the person, which is another type of bullying. So by doing that, that also is a form of bullying. So how do the teachers say, hey, don't do this?
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah, jump in, please.
First of all, I have an 11-year-old daughter in elementary school right now. I want to know what the first sign is, because she doesn't come home and tell me how her day was, and she's really good at this. I'm just using her for an example. What's the first sign I would think that maybe she's being bullied or that she is being a bully? And then number two, I want to know what happened to good old-fashioned just being picked on at school. It could be just a yard scuffle, and how would I know the difference between that and a bullying? Is it just the everyday incidents that would be considered bullying? Because I know every now and again you might want to just push someone over and call them a name and be friends the next day.
Yeah, one and done.
So how do I know the difference, and then what are the signs to look for as far as my kid coming home being a bully or being the bully?
Okay, I'll talk about the being bullied first. There are so many different signs that it's knowing your child and knowing any kind of change in behavior. So if they are sleeping more, if they're more emotional, if they're less emotional, if they are going to bed early or staying up and not going to sleep, if they're on the computer all the time and seem to be like obsessed with being on the computer. There are so many different things that can happen. So look for any type of change whatsoever in a normal activity. Now that gets hard when they get to be about 13.
They're kind of obsessed. All these kids are obsessed with their computers and they're texting,
Which
and their whole
creates
deal.
Antisocial behavior, and really bullying is antisocial behavior. It is not normal. Let's just be really clear on that. It is not normal. It should not be part of childhood. It is antisocial behavior. Let me answer your first question. I'll add to Jackie's answer. In your particular case, and it's not that she may or may not be, but it could be, if she is avoiding social situations, if she's avoiding specific friends or social situations, she may in fact be getting some teasing or bullying.
Like if there's a pajama party and how come you don't want to go? I just don't feel like going.
That's probably a sign, and you should ask her about it. And your second question.
What are some signs and some things that would indicate my daughter is a bully or being bullied? Not so much
The bully itself, being the bully.
Being the bully, yeah.
Right.
How would I know if my daughter's being the bully?
Well, a lot of times, just kind of aware of their interaction with other kids, to keep far enough away, but to still be able to hear. Moms were really good about that. So we see what happens. Some of the things Marie and I went and did was we went to like school dances. We went to one particular dance I remember going and kind of knowing who the bullies were and watched how they behaved. They were like the king of the hill, and what they said went. I watched one kid just absolutely make fun out of another child for racial reasons. I'm like, gosh, I can't believe that a child would do that.
And usually they're more tolerant of that than adults.
Absolutely,
But
they
they learn
are.
that at home, I feel.
Correct.
Go ahead.
And I was so surprised to see that. So I pointed it out to the principal. He listened in, and he's like, you know what, you're right. There was another case this same night of I was watching a female, known female bully, her walk, and everybody kind of led behind her. It was like a parade. So if she got up, and then I watched her sit down on the ground, and it was like everybody sat down at the same time. So you could see who's got the power in this particular situation.
How old are these kids?
Oh, they're like 11 and 12. It was
Isn't that amazing?
fifth
Oh,
and
right,
sixth-
seriously,
yeah.
isn't that amazing? The organization of this whole thing with the you get them in the lunchroom, you get them in the locker room, you get them at football practice, you get them in the library, kind of a thing, delegating your little minions. I mean, this is incredible. I read the book in the Swift. It's just, you can't believe it, even when you don't have school-age children. I found it amazing.
But as a parent, you watch and see how and listen how the child is treating another child, a sibling, or another adult with disrespect, and call them on it. And continue to watch for the behavior.
There's two things back to your question about what does a bully look and feel like. If you see that your child is constantly not accountable for their actions, or if they are disrespectful to many types of people, or if they laugh at things that show that they have no empathy, you probably have a bully.
Don't you think, though, that some parents that you have dealt with from your stories in the book, don't you think that some of them are blind to those faults? Because one time you said something about parents of bullies. Speaking to the parents of bullies sometimes didn't work.
That's correct. And sometimes they themselves don't understand those things, so that's tricky.
Or maybe that behavior is exhibited at home between the
Modeled.
parents and the kids see the, dad or
It's
vice
modeled.
versa.
It definitely is. But if you're a conscientious parent, those are the things you can look for. And honestly, I think an expert once told us, or a couple of experts once told us, that every bully's parent at some level, subconsciously or consciously, knows they have a bully in their house. Knows.
Sure.
On our website, which is solutionsforbullying.com, we have a video section. And in the video section, there is a bully talking about why he was bullied.
Oh my God, I missed that. I'm going to go tune that in tonight.
And so when you look at it, it's one of those things that we so appreciate the child and the parents talking to us about it. But it was one of those things he talks about why he was bullied. And it'll send shivers to me. He's like, I was
Dion-Jones.
bullied. And I was going to do it to everybody else because this is what was happening to me. And it was just
Was
like
he bullied at home?
he was bullied at school.
Okay.
He was bullied at school for perhaps being
What are
a
you
little
looking
bit
for?
different, what he thought, liking some different things. But he started in, pretty good. But we videotaped him, and he's on our website.
Can bullies be reformed?
Yes.
I believe so.
Yes.
Why do you think bullies choose to pick on overweight kids and adults?
Well, because being overweight is one of those visual things, and it's funny, there's an adult on our website as well that talks about it, and she was bullied because she was overweight. And it's one of those, that's one of those things that went back when we were kids. It was, funny to call somebody fat.
Little Lotta.
Yeah. Or, animal, that they were a pig or a cow or whatever.
I wasn't allowed to shave my legs when I was in high school. First year, 13 years old. I had blonde hair that looks like chicken fuzz. Walking by the football players suiting up in the fall after school, and one guy goes, "Hey, gorilla legs," and that was it. Raced home, got my stepfather's Gillette. Remember the double-sided, the old-fashioned Gillette? Oh my God, I was bleeding to death. But that was the last time I had fuzz on my legs. Honey.
Yes, ever again.
Forget that.
I just might want to add on, when I was growing up, I was a heavyset kid myself, but if someone wanted to pick on me, maybe not necessarily bully, but pick on me, I'd club them. I was a big kid. I'm not going to take it. I'm bigger than you. I'm going to take you down kind of mood. So maybe they get picked on more because they're more of a challenge and then
But
less
you
of a follower.
And you also gave a reaction. So that was kind of fun. You know, if you popped him back, it's like, oh, can we pop him back? Now, of course, nowadays you'd be suspended.
Sure,
You know,
absolutely.
even though, you know, there was a recent case of a kid, I think it was in Florida, that was getting bullied, finally smacked him once.
Australia.
Yeah, okay.
Remember?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then the kid that got smacked was trying to be like he wasn't the perpetrator of the whole thing, and it was like you just wanted to reach through the